SGC here!
And the intern.
Oh, we're back with a movie review.
Suicide Squad.
So directed by David Ayer, the guy that brought us Sabotage, Fury, End of Watch, Street Kings. So he's done a lot of street stuff. And apparently his next film, Bright, is also working with Will Smith. According to the intern, he does all the research. Right. But anyway, so characters from DC Comics, and we have a pretty big cast. We have Will Smith, Jared Leto, Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman, and everyone else. Check down below. So, what's it about? It's bad guys doing good things. And that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? I swear when they first announced this movie, I was not keen on it. Because, I mean, it came out from that huge announcement of just films that DC is going to do. And then when I found out Will Smith is Deadshot, Margot Robbie, blah, blah, blah. It was all these actors and actresses that were just like, what? Will Smith in a superhero film? That's kind of weird. But lo and behold, I would have to say that this is not a joke of a film. I mean, I swear when it first announced, I saw it as a joke. But this movie is so much better than the joke that I expected. And I have a lot of good things to say. Why don't you go first?
Well, for me, I had expectations about Will Smith, and I kind of have this whole impression about him trying to probably end up being another Hancock movie, but he ended up doing quite a good job as a father in that movie, where a lot of the portrayal of his inner character is about his relationship with his daughter, and he redeemed himself in the acting, kind of more like the way he portrayed himself in Pursuit of Happiness, like what he did with Jaden Smith in that movie. So that add a lot of depth to his character. So that's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, I totally agree. Will Smith is totally back, and if there is sequels, they better like set him up with contracts and just lock him down for Deadshot, because he was great. And also great, I think Margot Robbie is totally amazing as Harley Quinn, because she really encompasses that whole manic sociopath, psychopath, and then you might think she's normal, but then she does something really weird and just all that stuff. It was just great. Like, basically, if you enjoyed her in the trailers, you'll enjoy her in this movie.
They added a human touch to her character.
Yeah, like,
so
it's not just she's nuts.
she's like playing out crazy.
They actually dwelled on her relationship with Joker, which was more than I thought they would have done.
Yeah.
Because I thought it would just be a one-off thing. You see her origin, and then Joker, that's it. Joker comes in and out, and really see the humanity really coming to terms with her relationship with Joker. And speaking of Joker, thoughts on Jared Leto?
A little disappointed that they cut out a lot of the scenes that were originally intended. I did some research on how he was casting as the Joker, and he did a lot of method acting on looking at Shakespeare's or a lot of different kind of genres to really be in character, but it wasn't really shown in the movie because of all those cutscenes. And I guess they could have really add more to the backstory as to like why this Joker is always like, he wasn't overly done, but at the same time you don't really know what exactly his role is to the actual plot of the main arc of the story.
A lot of behind the scenes about how he was like a pain to work with because he scared a lot of people on set, and it made it feel like his role was a lot bigger. And I was expecting like some crazy Joker scenes and all that. There are moments of Joker, and I really appreciate his portrayal because it definitely adds to the whole genre of Joker portrayals, in the sense where Heath Ledger did the whole anarchist really well, and then Leto does this psychotic, really just really in your face type of villain really well. But then it's strange because when they put so much PR on his, like, oh, his portrayal was intense, people were scared of his gifts on set, blah blah blah, you would really assume that he would be a bigger part of the story, but he isn't. And then it was sad, but luckily for me, I did find out about those cuts, so I didn't really expect much. Though in a sense, it lent itself well to the story, in the sense that it's not a Joker film. They really did it well here, because I swear what Marvel doesn't get is the whole crossover thing, that they one line drop and explain away why A, B, and C isn't in this film. I don't know how big of a PR or like a finance gong show that is, but I swear, or I really hope that actors can, you know, do it for the art. They'll be like, oh, you know, like if I show up in this movie, get a paycheck cut, but show up for like 5 minutes, it adds so much more. Because I swear, if they just kept mentioning Batman, it would have been like well, we all know why he's not here because they didn't pay him. It's the same thing in like Deadpool when they mentioned like, oh, why is there only 2 X-Men? Budget was small. Like, you know these things, because I feel like audiences know these budgeted issues. Well, not all audiences, but you know, the more researched, I guess. But you understand why, and then I feel like this is their biggest like team movie now. So I'm glad that they sort of incorporate this element in terms of like actual crossovers, because I feel like the Joker inclusion added a depth to Harley's character in terms of humanity. Batman sort of made the world more realistic in terms of tone, because after watching Batman Superman, it just reinforces that tone that this world is going to be, because I feel like in Suicide Squad there's a lot more comedy compared to Batman Superman, which is like everyone's going to think that when they watch this film, because that's a direct comparison of this world. And I feel like it could be good and bad at the same time, where they add comedy but they have this serious tone. But I think with Ayer and whoever wrote this, they had a good balance with being serious and the comedy.
Did quite a good job just adding a different perspective of the DC universe from the more common folks perspective, rather than it's always on the heroic side, or from what you see at the lens of Superman or Batman or whatever, right?
Also, another great contribution is Amanda Walker, I forgot her name, but the black woman who's in charge of the Suicide Squad. She is nuts. Like, literally, I feel that this is a step up that DC needed, is that they needed a Nick Fury sort of position, but a person who's even more intense than Nick Fury, because she is hands down, like, no joke.
It's like type A, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Exactly, and I feel that really adds to another level of how serious things can get in this universe. Whereas I feel like with Marvel, it always feels more, it's not, like, the universe isn't defined by a tone. Rather, it's just very go happy, lucky, the hero's gonna win sort of thing. The darkest film we had was Winter Soldier, and that technically wasn't that dark. And it feels like Marvel can't get dark. Well, they can in terms of the TV shows, but the films themselves, I don't feel like they will ever try to touch that. Whereas with DC, I feel like adding comedy is a lot easier as a franchise sort of atmosphere than adding dark stuff to it. So I feel like this comedy thing worked out, and the dark stuff really carried over from the previous films, even with like Nolan's Dark Knight stuff. It's dark and gritty, and I think Amanda Wallen or whatever, she really brought it forward, and it makes things like real and at stake and at risk, and you would feel that there's a sense of danger in terms of this, because I mean, Suicide Squad, if you knew about the comics, they do have a changing roster. It's just like the Avengers, but with Suicide Squad, people actually die when they fail, sort of thing. So that was neat. What else was good? I would say the cast did a great job in the sense of what they were given. I mean, the dude that played Diablo, I actually didn't expect that performance from him.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
I felt that from the trailers, he was sort of it was a miss in the sense where he just felt like, I don't know, I think it was because of the trailers that you expected something else and you get something else when you watch the movie. Killer Croc, I would say, is probably the weakest in the sense. Slipknot doesn't count because he doesn't count. Jay Courtney was a surprise. I think I just hate him so much, or I just don't care about his acting, that he stood out in terms of like, oh, if he does this in his other films, I might enjoy him more. What do you think of that guy?
He adds a different tone to the team,
Yeah.
definitely. The whole comic relief, but at the same time, it's like you can tell he doesn't want to be serious in the whole ordeal of saving the world, but at the same time,
He's just looking out for himself, that he
Yeah.
realizes that I need to do this or else I'm done. And I feel like that's the biggest thing with this team thing, is that there's so much different levels of seriousness or comedy or just different perspectives. It feels like a real team because you have so many different motivations. You have people who's doing it for their daughter, some people just doing it to leave, some people just because they were forced to. There's that selfishness, and I really did enjoy that because it was more.
One thing I do appreciate though was the main captain dude, Flag or whatever his name is. He really gives a fresh sense of air to the team compared to the Marvel universe, where you expect the captain, the leader of the team, to be that strong-willed and powerful and overcoming obstacle kind of dude, whereas on this movie He's more the one that needs to be carried by the team and to be supported, encouraged, and to build up. So it definitely has a new flavor to it and gives more depth to the rest of the team.
Oh yeah, in a sense, more realistic because people aren't always gung ho about saving the world. So, talking about saving the world, what do you think of the story?
It was really good at the beginning, but then I feel that it kind of dragged on the middle.
Yeah.
The pace was really slowed down, and the actual crux of the effects and fighting really didn't pick up until the very end. So it's almost like you can fast forward the middle and then go straight to the building up to the climax.
And I think it was a PR sort of like stunt in a sense where they made it all hush hush as to who the real villain was to this film. Because if you watch the trailers, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel that if only they establish a very compelling villain, I don't know. It seems like it's like the biggest problem for any superhero film is that they can't write a good villain.
No.
I feel like the twist here was interesting, but he didn't bring anything to the table. But, I mean, sure, his power set was interesting in a sense. But as a character, he didn't add anything. Though it was a logical progression. I feel like they did sort of plant seeds in the beginning as in this is going to break out and she's going to do what she does.
Yeah.
But I feel like his sort of motivation was rather lacking. And I felt that the whole setup to the whole final run was also lacking in a sense where they're trying to understand what's going on and they're trying to justify it and like, oh, making it humanistic about like, oh, it's not my fault. I'm just trying to redeem myself and all that. And I felt like they just ran out of money during those shots. It's just like, let's just shoot everything and just CGI everything else. Just let's not do crazy stunts or any fighting or whatever. I feel like if they cut more stuff, made it more fast-paced, but still have that flag sort of reluctance, like, oh my goodness, what did I do sort of thing. That his arc was great, but it was just felt very draggy and long comparative to what happened before that scene started and all that. And this movie is already short, so I sort of wish that there was more in a sense, but it feels long.
Yeah.
There were draggy parts, and from what I read, it's already said that there was a lot of editing issues, so that didn't come as a surprise. But it had its potential, definitely. I would not say that Rotten Tomatoes is correct, like, as much as sometimes I rely on them. 35% definitely this movie is not. I would say it would be a lot more higher. It's a pass for me. I would recommend it just for the sake of it existing, that we should give it a chance. Because, I mean, it's what we wanted from DC. It was like a dark and gritty, but still there's humanity in it, but there's still comedy and all that. And I mean, realistically, when you think about it, any movie dealing with so many characters, it's gonna be a gong show to film and edit and all that. So from the get-go, when they announce so many people, you know it's gonna be a problem. But I mean, all in all, Suicide Squad did its job. It introduced these characters to the bigger world, the non-comic world, and even from just fans or non-fans, you can hear that people are divided in terms of if they liked it or not. But I definitely say it's worth your time. I mean, there are issues where people brought up how the soundtrack is kind of annoying because it's like a new track for every character, but I'm like, that's technically fine. I mean, you have a new sound for that character when they do their origin and all that. I think the biggest thing that lacks is probably what you brought up in terms of just power sets. Just like there's no iconic moment in terms of just like, oh, Deadshot, his origin was cool, but like within the movie there wasn't that really great moment for each of the characters. Like in Avengers, every person had their like moment, and this movie didn't have that. And it totally could, because I mean, Avengers and this also had those like random monster, you know, henchmen types, so they could totally pull off some crazy moves. But that definitely probably is due to budgeting issues, and they just didn't want to, you know, do it.
And whereas Marvel has their benefits of each character having their own movie to start off with before the Avengers, so they can really showcase what that character is unique or was.
I mean, when you even think about Guardians, they technically didn't each have like a moment. Like there was that jailbreak scene that was like them working together, and that was that awesome Groot and Rocket moment. But I can't think of one for Gamora or Drax. yeah, I think people are gonna compare it to Guardians all the time.
Yeah.
But Guardians
For
is
sure.
totally different because it's like, Cosmo sort of thing. You can have so much more fun, like in terms of just out of world things. So it's like disconnected. But here, this is a grounded sort of portrayal, and I think that really limits anything you can do. But I feel like they did what they needed to do.
Overall, I think it's worth a watch, and just have to not always try to compare with Guardians of the Galaxy. It's so different, even though it's a team movie. It's just apples and oranges at the end, I feel.
Oh, definitely. I don't know. I don't really like giving out points, but I would say this is like a 6, 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a 6 and 7 is a C plus, so I mean, it's not bad. It's not like a 35%.
Definitely could be better though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be better, but I feel like if we give them the money this time around, when they film the sequel, they will know what to do, and it definitely will be an interesting thing to see going forward. Because I mean, they announced all those Justice League movies, and now those standalone Justice League movies like Flash and Aquaman and Wonder Woman. It's gonna be interesting to see how Suicide Squad fits in all of this. Because I definitely hope that this is not a one-time thing, because it would suck. Because I feel like this ensemble really worked, and I feel like the very fact that Suicide Squad can switch out people and put people in, that will add more, just more. Because you can, have another, like, maybe A-list or even a C-list actor step in and do a random, like, role that's never been done before. I mean, Katana was a first-time actress, and that's a great thing that they're giving out to these actors and actresses. It's just that this would be a stepping stone, and I really hope that they take advantage of Suicide Squad. I feel like it's something we need. We need something to contrast a huge sort of Batman, Superman, everything iconic sort of thing. And I feel like Suicide Squad will do what Guardians did for Marvel, is that it spiced things up, it added things, and definitely it'll be interesting. Just no more beam into the sky. I'm getting really sick of that visual. Because I feel like that's the go-to end of the world visual now after
cliche.
Avengers. It's just like even the new Turtles did that. I'm just like, gah, please don't. But so yeah, we're done here. So recommended, go check it out. So if you have seen Suicide Squad, leave your comment down below, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that is it for this movie review for Suicide Squad. Out.